Covering Davis now, where the family of the suspected Davis serial stabber took the stand to start week 3 of the trial.
Your reporter Hunter Sowards has their testimony as they describe the changes they witnessed before those stabbings.
Guys, 2 weeks into the murder trial for Carlos Dominguez, and the defense calling witnesses to talk about the drastic changes they say they saw about a year after he started college and the months leading up to the murders. His father was the first to be called to the stand today, saying he started noticing changes in Dominguez's personality and really physical appearance during his sophomore year. His father said his son stopped talking to his siblings and his parents the year before the stabbings. The defense is not denying that Dominguez carried out the attacks, just that he wasn't sane when he went on that killing spree. His parents apparently asked Dominguez not to return to school for that second year, worried about his health. Also taking the stand, his 13-year-old sister. She talked about watching her brother's personality change, saying he was staring at walls, and admitted she knew something was very wrong.
He was skinnier, he wouldn't take care of himself, and when we would watch movies, he would just stare into the walls.
Did you notice a change in his hygiene?
Yes.
What did you notice about a change in his hygiene?
He would only shower once a week.
That December, did you notice anything else in terms of change in his behavior, in terms of his personality?
He was more quiet.
How so?
He wouldn't talk, he wouldn't smile, he wouldn't leave his room.
We also heard from Dominguez's ex-girlfriend. She stepped through how much he changed between his freshman and sophomore year, admitting that he told her he was hearing voices.
It was typically, we would just kind of be walking around, things like that, and we would pass a couple people, a group of people or whatnot, and then he would say something under his breath. And I would kind of ask him about it because I initially thought he was talking to me, and then we kind of dropped it from there.
Would he indicate whether he believed these people had said things about him?
Yes.
So she is expected to continue testifying tomorrow. Dominguez is facing 2 counts of murder and 1 count of attempted murder. Prosecutors, though, are not seeking the death penalty if found guilty.